Hi everyone, I'm Adama.
And I'm Dextina.
And we're Dipped in Honey.
So today we have a special guest, our friend...
No, we're keeping this in here.
Trying to get into the camera.
Our friend Erica is here. So today we're talking about mental health and mental health awareness. You know, it's a real special topic to my heart. So I speak about how we view mental health and how also like how we were raised to view it, should I say. So I'm Liberian.
Oh, I'm a
You're a dom. We know.
I'm Nigerian, Trinidadian.
The light gets
And I'm African American.
How is mental health looked at in your community?
I would say in the African American community, I feel like the younger generation is becoming more aware and spreading that awareness to other people. But I feel like the older you go in the African American community, they don't necessarily seem to validate mental, health. And I feel like a lot of things go unspoken about in the African American community because of that. So that would be my stance.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So it's me?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree as well. I feel like it's similar in the African community too. Viewing mental health is not really viewed. Like in Nigeria, like if someone has a mental illness, they call you mad. Or crazy or something. They don't, or it's a spiritual thing. You're attacked by demons. We don't really look at mental illness as a thing. That's not even in our vocabulary. So I think it's still happening till this day. Like they still, like it's just really surprising with the type of education we have, and with the type of education we have, we still are ignorant to some of these things. Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, in my community, they basically, like, when I was growing up, when I heard, like, my family members talking about mental disability, they will always say it's a American thing or it's a white thing. And, like, that's what I always know, like, oh, if you have a mental disability, oh, you're trying to be American or you're white, because they don't look, always say Africans don't have mental disabilities, which it's not true at all. It's the fact that they don't look at it and they don't recognize it, should I say. It's like you're looked down upon, so you're pushed. Like if you do have something, like if you are feeling a type of way, it's looked down upon, so you don't talk about it. And that's the problem in the African community. We don't talk about it. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And like, even being raised at home, like at home, you're taught to be tough.
Yeah.
Like, you cry, they tell you, what are you crying for? Like,
wipe your tears.
What's their favorite thing to say? I'll give you something to cry for.
Yeah. I'll give you something to cry about.
I'll give you something to cry about.
So, like,
you shut up.
That's how you exactly. And you like,
let me shut up.
You like the.
Yeah, but I feel depressed. They'll be like, oh yeah, you better get out of the depression. Don't curse yourself or something. And it's like, no, I'm not cursing myself. That's literally how I'm just expressing how I
like
feel.
How I feel, yeah.
You know, and they just don't view it. It's just something. Oh, pray about it. Like, yes, you can pray about it, but at the same time, I still need to, like, I need that support. Like, understand that I'm dealing with something and help me through it.
Or they'll say, look at your friend, look at your mate. They're doing way more than you. You don't see them going through this. And it's just like, well, it's not about them right now. It's like how I'm feeling. And it's like, if I love you enough to come to you and express how I'm feeling, I'm being vulnerable, and it's like I just want you to be.
And that takes a lot.
It takes a lot for people to become vulnerable to you.
And it's just, and like I remember even like my eyes have opened being in college, because I even had, being raised in that environment, you're very ignorant to some of those things. So growing up, like I would remember, like, for example, like, sensitive, like, some people being very sensitive to things. And, like, I would have the mindset, like, why are you so sensitive to this thing? Like, or why are you acting like that when other people have the same, like, are going through the same things? I mean, I was brought that way to think like that. So, like, being in college has definitely changed things or changed my mindset on mental health. Even being in, like, having the major that I have, you know, that has definitely really opened my eyes to those things and to those stigmas that we put on our community.
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, when were you guys introduced to mental health? Like, do you remember the first time you're like, hey, hold on, this is, people actually go through this? Like, was it in college that you guys first, like, realized what mental health was and, like, that actually other people go through it instead of, like, a white thing?
Definitely.
I feel like you should go first.
Okay. Definitely college, like I said before, because it's different when you really go through it. Like, college really puts you into that depression.
Stress.
It puts you into
so much
stress. And I definitely have dealt with it, you know, dealt with depression in college. And that wasn't the start of me understanding it, but it's definitely strengthened my understanding because I definitely understand, like, depression is a real thing. Like, it is so real. And understanding that people deal with things differently was the problem I had. And in college really opens your eyes because you go through a lot of stuff during college, and it you definitely really understand. And also I think our school does a good job with, like, informing people about mental health.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely around, like, well, at least in my major, like, if we have different topic, like, when we talk about mental health or whatever, they list, like, all, like, CAPS and all those, like, places that we could go to for help, which I feel like it's definitely necessary. And I feel like our school or schools in general should have something like that. Like, have a class on, like, a mandatory class on that.
Yeah, but with, like, just around you. Like, do you remember?
I would say college does open your eyes because I feel like, say if you're someone who's used to living with your family, and say, like, you still have certain family members that do have issues, that go through stuff. If you're used to that and you think that's what's normal, you might not sit there, you might not be thinking, like, wow, man, you know, maybe this person needs help, you know. And I feel like until I got to college and I saw how other people act, you know, especially other people my age, and just going through stuff myself and just learning more, I think that's when my eyes really started to open up. Like, wow, maybe, you know, this isn't healthy that this person is doing this or thinking that way. So I would definitely have to say it wasn't until college when I just, you know, got to meet other people, see how other people acted, for me to realize, like, hey, just like to question some of the things that I saw growing up. So that would be my answer.
I feel like I had a different life from you two, but definitely in high school, that's when I realized all that, just because of what I've been through in high school. And when I did come to college, that's why my major coming into college was psychology, was because I knew mental health was out there, and I knew that being in the African community, they always suppressed it. And it wasn't until I got to college I learned about RHS, and I got in contact with those teachers where I wanted to raise awareness in the Black community, because college is depressing, and I know so many people going through that and the stress, and it's just like, it's a lot. But in the Black community and in the African community, it's so looked down upon. And it's like, I feel like I'm I guess a survivor, you can say, but I just want to be able to, like, tell everybody, like, yo,
you can do it.
I'm here, or whatever. But no, it's like, it's a really big thing, because even being around, like, having Black friends, and I just, like, I see them going through so much, is because we have CAPS in stuff like that. It's really helpful. And that's why I love my major so much, because we literally cry all the time. Be in class like, I hate this major, like what the hell, like, you know what I mean? But I feel like everybody should take that class. And yeah, I don't know, yeah, high school was definitely my first time get introduced to mental health.
What do you think is one big problem in our community that hinders us from, accepting that there is mental illnesses and
denial?
Yeah.
You can't fix something that you never, you can't fix something that you say that's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sit there and, someone's going through something, someone's sad and someone's depressed, then you just keep, throwing it off and saying, so I feel like as long as you don't try to deny it, you accept it. I feel like that's step one, and I feel like that's a big part with African American community and, other Africans. I feel like we have to accept it, because if we sit there and just act like it's not a problem, it's not really happening. If we sit there and act like the person who's depressed or going through something is faking, or whatever excuse you want to come up with, then how are you ever going to help them? So I feel like that's the biggest problem. We have to accept that mental illness is not just a white people thing. It's a people thing that can happen to any human being, no matter your race. So
I think I would say as vulnerability. I feel like our community is so scared to be vulnerable, because past generations, they weren't allowed to be vulnerable. So that's what they passed on us. Like you were saying, if you cry, it's like, don't cry. It's like you're not allowed to cry. And also, it's like, if you are going through something, African communities, they compare you to your friend. And it's just like, I'm not them. And it's like, we might be like going in college together, but we're not going through the same struggle. And it's like, I feel like that's what people need to understand. It's like every individual is different. We're individuals. And I feel like it's time for you. Yeah, for a reason. I feel like it's time for people to respect that. I feel like empathy is needed. I feel like people lack empathy. They don't realize it sometimes, like, oh, hey, I'm not being empathetic. I'm comparing you to somebody else, and it's like you're being vulnerable with me. So when people be vulnerable and you shut them down, they don't want to talk to you anymore. And that's even worse, because once you start letting stuff stay in, and it starts to build up, and that's when people snap. Because when they were vulnerable with you, you didn't want to talk to them, and you shut it down. So I think vulnerability.
My thing that I think is a big problem are definitely the standards we hold on our fellow black men and black women. For example, men are taught to be tough and fighters. Women also are taught to be tough. We have a little wiggle room to be sensitive or whatever, but only to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And also, like, as black people, we're just taught to be we have to be strong to survive in this world.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really hate the most is, like, I know we joke or whatever, but, like, for example, like, if a guy starts to, like, if he does something sweet or whatever, they'd be like, oh, you're a B, you're a P, And I'm like, those are the things that contribute to the whole,
the stigmas.
The stigmas, yeah. So I'm like, so those things that, like, calling men P's and B's and all that stuff contributes to the problem, which I feel like we need to definitely, like, stop and, start understanding that those things really actually do affect people in the long run, because people really, like, men can't be who they really want to be because of those stigmas. And women, and black women as well. Black women are, although we do have wiggle room, like I said, we're taught to be tough.
Yeah.
You can only be sad for like 2 seconds.
And it's like, all right.
Yeah, you gotta
get the household together.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's like women are looked at like, all right, come on. You can't, you have no room to mess up. Like, Like, I feel like we all can say
I feel
that.
like that black people in general, you just can't, there's so many things that oppress us. So, like, we have to.
We have to.
We have to be strong.
It's like we're already the underdog. So, it's like if we show any, like, sympathy or any weakness, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, no.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the problem. Like, that's definitely the problem. Because it's not like we don't have those resources. And I feel like also black people aren't educated enough. And I feel like that's also the problem, because even here at Penn State, we have resources for people who, if you're feeling depressed or stressed or X, Y, and Z, they even put it in the syllabus. Like, it's there. Like, they literally give us the resources, but we don't think about it. It's like, oh.
We don't even...
It
seems weak.
It seems weak
going to
CAPS.
It's the last thing you want to do.
That's
You'd
the
rather
last
solve
thing.
it by yourself.
I know. I don't want to expose myself, but like I know, like going into like CAPS and whatever, like telling your family, oh, I want to do this, and like your family saying, oh, this is gonna look bad for you if you do that. I don't know if any of your family has said that before, but they definitely told me, and I'm like.
Yeah, they're like, what if people see you go in there? Like, what if people... And I feel like Africans are so big on that. They're so worried about how other people see you. Instead of being like,
yes,
you're going through this.
And that's another problem. Let's speak on that. That's another problem. Because we can, like you said, compare each other, we have to, like, be the best that we can be. So there's no room for depression. Depressed what? What does that mean?
No.
Like, no. So that's another problem, too. Comparing and, like, you have to be at your... Like, Africans are so competitive.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So
it's so...
never gonna end well.
That's what... I think that's what makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because when you compare yourself to other people... Boy, that makes you more depressed than you already are. Yeah. Like, that does not help the issue.
Because you're always looking like, oh my gosh, this person doing this person doing that. And it's just like,
look at me.
Look at me.
Why can't I be like that?
Then you have that other extra topping of your family and everybody, the outside surroundings, like, yup. Like, saying yes. Like, you're feeling bad, and like, yes, feel bad. Feel bad. Instead of saying, worse. That's different. It could be worse. You could be this, and it's like, yes, I don't take my life for granted, but I feel like you should be empathetic of how I'm feeling. That's the problem. It's like, everybody's always like, look at this person. This person doesn't have a mom. This person doesn't have this. And it's like, yes, I understand that, and I'm not taking away from their pain, but you shouldn't take away from mine. That's the problem. We take away. It's like, you shouldn't feel this way because you can have it worse. And that's the problem.
Quite frankly, I'm not a machine. I'm not a machine. I do not keep going and going and going. I do break down. I have my breakdowns. That's who I am as a person. That's what makes me me. You know? I have to go through certain things to make myself a better person. Or to be a better person. We're all gonna go through ups and downs and stuff like that, but that's just life. You know, that's just life, and we have to accept life is life. We can't control every single thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a problem. Like, like we said, there's no room for mistakes, but those mistakes are what make us who we are being depressed or whatever the case may be. It makes us who we are. To overcome those things makes us who we are as a person, and everyone goes through it, and I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, so you guys shouldn't think it's a problem either. And if you do go to Penn State, we're gonna leave like caps and stuff at the bottom, so you shouldn't feel like afraid to go there. And like, I know let me shout my teacher out. Dr. Jessica Henry, like, y'all know how I feel about her. Like, that's my sis. No, but literally, she's a black teacher at Penn State, and that's the problem also. We don't want to talk to people who don't look like us. And little do you guys know, there's counselors out there that look like us that can connect with us and relate. And I feel like some black people, that's their problem too. They feel like other races can't relate to us because they don't go through it, and because, like, I could say, like, in a white community, it's more open and it's more acceptable, should I say. It's more acceptable to get help. But, like, with my major and Dr. Henry, she makes it, like, known that, okay, we're Black, but we still go through this. Like, she has her PhD, and it's like, we can do it. It's like, I can really do this. Like, love you, Dr. Henry. And,
any closing words?
Any closing remarks?
I would just have to say, if you are someone dealing with depression or anything else that you just feel like you need help with, I feel like the most important step is the first step. So if you can just bring yourself to see someone, even though you might not want to be vulnerable, you might feel like it's weak, you might feel like you could solve everything by yourself, but honestly, you can't solve everything by yourself. That's just how life is.
That's just life.
So
It's true.
honestly, the first step is the hardest. If you could just bring yourself to see someone, I feel like even just one session, you'll feel relief. Just by knowing that you took a step to make yourself better. So that's my advice to anyone. Just take that risk, just do it, because what bad thing is going to happen by you trying to better yourself?
True.
So
Definitely have a support team too.
Yeah.
Like, your friends are everything. I know, I love my friends, they've helped me through things. You're hype. You're hype.
Okay.
But
Shout out
definitely
to us.
having a good friend group definitely helps. I love them, And
I love you too.
okay, you're gay.
feelings mutual.
For real. Actually. But yeah, definitely having a support system like your friends, even though you can't talk to your parents or whatever, you definitely have a friend group that will definitely support you through whatever. That definitely helps,
Yeah. Why y'all both was just like
You paused, so
Stina.
I was listening.
What you gonna say?
What I have to say is like, speaking from experience, like, I'm happy that I'm here to speak about it. It's okay. Like, it's okay to go through those type of certain things. It's okay. It's really okay. Like, hold on, wait.
You wasn't right.
No, I'm a G. Like, what?
Oh, you thought.
You a G. All right. No, just wanted to let you guys know that it's okay, and it's okay to get help. Like, don't be afraid to get help. And, like, even though there might be people in your life that's not supportive, just know there's...
Sorry, I got chills.
There's people out there who want you to be here and who love you and support you. And it's like, it's a life thing. It's not a color thing. It's like, it's a people thing. And we do need to get help. We need to support each other. And we all need to be empathetic. And we need to be there for one another. Like, because you never know what the next person is going through. So,
It's okay to not be okay.
it's okay to not be okay. And that's why I got this tattoo right here. Wait, my arm is...
That's what it said.
But
you
no.
could have just told them that.
Shut up. But it's the...
She said...
No, it's for the Semicolon Project. And what the Semicolon Project is, it's just... it's for people who went through... suicide survivors. I don't like saying survivors, but people who were suicidal. The semicolon just means, like, my life isn't over. So it's not a period. It's like, it's continued. To be continued. Because I'm here and I'm better.
I'm here and I'm better.
I want you better, Safa. Erica was going to join in our song.
She said, y'all continue.
She's like, okay, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Erica, for, coming in, touching on this topic, sprinkling some knowledge.
Like the Salt Man.
Yeah,
Salt Bay.
Salt Bay.
I'm Salt Bay from now on.
Okay, I'm not calling you that.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So,
Like,
comment.
and Erica, you want to say it?
subscribe.
There we go.
Wait. And, sorry. Follow us on Instagram. My name's Madam Shehu.
I'm Believer_Bella.
And my Instagram name is Akari, AKAIRI _.
Okay, mine is M-A... Wait, they're laughing while I'm trying to say.
I just want to make sure you
Wait,
spell
We'll
it.
leave it below.
M-A-A-D-A.
You feel left out.
S-H-E-H-U. I hope y'all got that. They keep talking. Okay, I know I said get a supportive friend, but they talking too much.
It'll be below. But thank you guys.
Bye.
Movies think you can do that.